Thank you. Now, moving right along from there, we got to talk about Russell Brand. You know, this is Katy Perry's ex-husband, the very same Katy Perry that's currently being investigated for alleged sexual abuse against Ruby Rose. All right, this is Russell Brand, who went on Megyn Kelly's show and stated that he had consensual relations with a 16-year-old when he was 30. Okay, in the UK, the age of consent is 16. And Russell feels that because he then became a Christian and he walk around with a Bible, even though he don't know any verses in that Bible, when he was questioned by Piers Morgan. Shout out to Piers Morgan and that turkey neck he got. He know Piers know he got about 2-3 necks be squeezing into that suit. Let some of that neck out. You ain't no size 16, 17 in the neck, Piers. You about a size 21. That damn neck tie be so damn tight around your shit, you be turning red and purple. Anyway, Russell Brand went on Megyn Kelly and admitted that he had consensual sex with a 16-year-old when he was 30. He's now being sued for sexual assault by several women, and he will have his day in court. But the age of consent in the UK is 16, right? The age of consent around the world in different countries or different ages. This is nothing that's funny. This is some sick shit. I'm never gonna be okay with a 30-year-old being with a 16-year-old. Period. I'm never gonna be okay with that. But I have a bigger and conversation to have, and I'm gonna make it a longer video. But here's the serious conversation I want to have. Okay, the law is one thing, our morals are another, right? We all agree that this shit is wrong. A 30-year-old and a 16-year-old do not belong together romantically, period. I don't care what they did in the past. I don't care what they did centuries ago. I don't care what your grandparents did and your great-grand. I don't give a damn. That's never going to be okay, period. Period, right? But Russell, to me, the issue is bigger than Russell because he's going to have his day in court. Okay. And even if they find him not guilty, you know what you do to him? You cancel him. You pay him no attention. Don't give him an avenue to make any more money, and he will suffer. He will pay, right? He will pay for what he's done. But let's push Russell to the side. We have this conversation about age of consent. I'm gonna just stick with America because we live in America, and people go back and forth with, was she 23? He 35. Oh, he's 27. She's 51. The real question that we need to take to our lawmakers, not arguing on social media. I'm talking about getting the laws changed. Here's the question we have to come to. Here's the answer we have to come to. When is a person a fully grown adult that can consent and understand the consequences of their actions? Because that's what we're trying to figure out, right? So we say you can drive a car at 16, but you can't sign a contract and go to war until you're 18. You can buy cigarettes at 18, but you can't drink till you're 21. But then, you see what I'm saying? We have all these arbitrary ages that are not backed by science. I have my theory, right? Stay with me. If we now know with science that the brain, this part, because this part forms, then your middle brain, and then this is the last to form, which covers your logic and your reasoning and you being able to understand the long-term consequences of your actions, okay? If we know the brain is not fully formed until you're 25 years old, why are we calling 18-year-olds adults? You're not an adult at 18 because your brain is not fully developed. So I'm proposing a system, I don't know exactly how it would look, but just stay with me, where you are not a legal adult until you're 25 years old. Period. That's it. That's all. Not all this 16, sometimes 17, sometimes 19, 21, 20. No. We already know with science that brain is not fully developed until you're 25. So if we know that, why the fuck we acting like an 18-year-old is an adult? Because if you tell them they can do, if you say, oh, you're an adult at 18, they're going to go do adult shit. And you can tell them, hey, you don't need to be with that 35-year-old. But first thing they're going to say, I'm grown. But then they're going to later come around and say, yeah, I was a legal adult, but I was still a kid. Do you see what I'm saying? We need to pick an age where a person is an adult, period. And I believe you should be considered a child until you're 25. Until you're 25. I will maybe give you 21. Because that's when people can buy alcohol. So I will maybe, if you say no, let's just make them an adult at 21. Okay. I also believe that age of consent for anything should not be, you shouldn't be allowed to really do shit until you're 25. I'm talking tattoos without a parent's permission. I'm talking about piercings without a parent's permission. Like this would force us to completely change like our society. I even believe like you should be in school longer. Like we're not ready at 18. We're just not. And now that we have scientific proof that the brain is not fully developed, that 18-year-old is not an adult. That is still a child. That is technically still then what? Adolescence. Hold up, I'm not finished. Now, this is not a lot of y'all have kids, and this is where this finna fuck y'all up. I also believe you should be financially and legally responsible for your child until they are 25. And yes, they still have to listen to you and they still have to obey until they're 25. That's it. Now, after the age of 25, you do whatever the fuck you want. Your brain fully formed. Whatever you go mess up, that's on you. But all these arbitrary ages that we pick are not backed by science. Why we picked 16, 17, 19, 8, I don't know. But I'm talking about right now, we got the science to back up. You ain't grown, baby, till you 25. So why in the fuck are we giving 18-year-olds adult responsibilities? Why are we giving 18-year-olds the okay, or a 16-year-old the okay to go lay down with somebody that's 30, 40, 50, 60. Oh, they're 16. They're not grown. There are 25-year-olds that still act like teens. Okay, that's a fact. However, after the age of 25, you still moving crazy and you moving like an idiot, that's on you. But if you've been raised for 25 years, when you go out in that world, now you should really be ready. We can come up with extra forms of education. We can extend school, whatever we need to do on that end. Even though school is pretty much useless at this point, but you get my point. These kids need real world school, not the Pythagorean motherfucking theorem, bitch. They don't need to know what happened in 1912. They need to know how to budget, how to use coupon, how to get an apartment, how to read documents, how to life. Maybe we have regular school up until 18, and then 18 to 25 is some type of adulting type of school. Like I said, I don't know. It would totally shift society, and I get it. But in my opinion, the science says 25. Why am I looking at a 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, or 21-year-old like they're grown? They're not. They're not. So I just think that's the conversation we really need to have. This man is going to pay. He's done. Hollywood done with him. His legacy is going to be tarnished. He's going to pay for what he did. Because this man, Russell can say he always had consensual sex Sir, if you were that drunk and high out of your mind, you don't know what you were doing. So stop. You don't know. So that's just my opinion. I believe these kids need to stay kids till they're 25. Prepare them for the world, but give them plenty of time to be ready. 28. Now, I ain't gonna say 28. Now, 28 is cutting it. Pushing it. 28 is pushing it. But 25, your parents raised you for 25 years. Yeah. That's just my opinion. For neurodivergent people, it can take up to 35. Wow. I didn't even know that. Damn. But you know what? That explains a lot. That explains a lot, even about some of our parents. No shade. Because if I think about who my parents were, okay, when I was born, my mama was 21, my daddy was 22. If I think about them in their, hey, thank you, Gabby. If I think about them in their 20s versus mid 30s, sometimes I'm kind of looking at them like, maybe they was neurodivergent. Anyway. Yeah, I still think 35 is too old, but I think 25, yeah, I think so. Anyway, y'all can let me know in the comments if you think I'm tripping, if you think it's too long, whatever. But I just think that there is no world, especially in our modern world, modern society, where we have scientific proof that your brain ain't done developing until you're 25. I don't care. I don't care how intelligent your child may appear. That brain ain't done until it's 25.
It's Storm Show. Ay, it's Storm Show.